Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the free-to-play account, and as you can see, we have hit the absolute wall within AFK Arena. If you've ran free-to-play, if you've done pay-to-win, 31-4 is the absolute wall as we know it today, because this is when you get into a multitude of teams. Now we do have Randy in one team, and then we do have Rem in a secondary team. So being able to come through here and looking at the formations, I was kind of looking through, and you can see there are no replays. Now the reason why there are no replays is there are so many heroes within AFK Arena that we do not possess on this account because we power leveled so far through it. Now honestly, looking at the progression, looking at where we have Randy at, we need a couple heroes. We need some more heroes that are able to go to that level 200. 200, of course, is going to unlock the ability to take Randy up to that 240. We just need a lot more copies of heroes, really. If we can get some more copies of Orin, if we can get some more copies of Palmer, even looking here at Aethys, we would have the ability to actually build them up a little bit higher, which would make a really big difference and building these heroes out. So what is going on, guys? Sorry for the late stream. We had Battle of the Books this morning, did incredibly well. I'm super excited. It's been a really, really busy weekend, but I want to hop on here, be able to stream. What's going on, Akai? Mesmer is here. Darren, Tommy, Soul, Luis, Lith is here as well. I've awakened like at a mythic by the time I'm done with her. Do you think Envy would be meta? It seems like right now, and again, this is still a little bit early when it comes to the new Hippo hero that is dropping. Monday will be the patch notes. So tomorrow is going to be the patch notes for the new awakened Hippo hero. And it seems like right now that she is kind of crazy. That he is kind of crazy. Looking at the Cursed Realm, the Nightmare Corridor, Treasure Scramble, it seems like Envy is going right to the meta for all of those teams. But with that being said, with him being in the meta, it's not a huge night and day difference like we've seen with a couple different heroes. It doesn't seem like it's going to affect the meta as much as we think. It does yield, of course, a little bit of a higher score in a couple different game modes, but I feel like if you don't build them out, or if you wait to build them out, you're not going to be missing, everything in the world. You're still going to be able to make some progression. With your help, my comment improved a lot. Hippo, I got Randy, already took him to Ascended. Yeah, it's broken, Akai. It is absolutely broken. So what is Battle of the Books? So Battle of the Books, it's actually something that they do here, Lith, with the public library. So you create a team of up to 5 individuals. You have 12 different books that you have to read. Then you get together with all of these teams. There were actually 25 teams that were competing to answer questions about the 12 different books you read. Some of the teams were 2 people, 3 people, up to 5 people. Battle of Books was really, really cool. Who is he replacing? So it seems like that it is Wicked Vika. Vika seems to be the one that is being replaced with Envy in the formations. Is the friends list full? Let me take a look. I don't know if the friends list is full. Now, also, I want to note on here that even looking at utility-wise, we are going to be building out and focusing on the Awakened version of Shamira to kind of round out this team. I know I do have 1 copy of the Awakened version of Athalia, and looking at the utility list, yes, we could absolutely build one out. I'm going to have a video a little bit later today, maybe tomorrow morning, talking about the Awakened version of Shamira and kind of going through a couple different things. If you've seen it over on Reddit, there were a couple pretty interesting things when it comes to Shamira specifically in a couple of formations. Now, one thing I want to note, and this is kind of interesting, is with the newer account, you are getting 10 of these arcane staffs every single day. Building these out is going to take an incredible amount of time when you come through here, when you're doing the summons. But thinking of older accounts that have been really had the Ghoulish Gallery for an extended amount of time, you didn't get the opportunity to build hundreds, if not thousands, over the weeks and weeks and weeks since the Ghoulish Gallery has been out. So essentially, I feel like a lot of players, not only the RNG factor, which is still an absolute nightmare when it comes to the Ghoulish Gallery, but going through there and being able to actually build out just a multitude of collections is a lot easier with the new account than it is with older accounts. And there's a lot of things, a lot of benefits when it comes to a newer account. Even looking here, guys, Treasure Scramble, we've been getting resources out of here on a very, very regular basis. We've been getting a ton of resources. Even King's Tower, we've been farming. Now, I haven't played this account, actually sat down like we're seeing right now. The Celestial Sanctum, the Infernal Fortress are open. Cannot make progression in either of those because of how incredibly difficult they are. Labyrinth, I've been kind of breezing through. You can see we've already completed this 9 times in the entirety. And remember, this count is what, about a week and a half maybe going on 2 weeks. Maybe it's about 2 weeks old at this point. But going through here, looking, we finally got the pre-order list. This is huge because remember, when it comes to the pre-order, there are only a very, very few things that you want to spend diamonds on. One is, of course, the time emblems. If you ever want to build these heroes out, you're going to have them. Then we have both of the stones. If you're looking at anything else that you want to build or that you want to buy, it's going to be kind of up to you. So what I suggest is, depending where your account is, depending on what exactly you need, is choosing one of the top items. So we're talking about either the staffs, the cores, or the baits, buying them out on a regular basis. Now, if you're free to play, probably wouldn't recommend it because it's going to be very expensive to do. And overall, you can see we don't have much gold at all anymore because of the reset event we've actually been going through. I hope I earned some more. We've been going through here with the shop refreshes, making the most of it. Now, in the guild store, we did buy out those time emblems. Now, looking at draconic insignias, we know these are a really big priority, but they, in my opinion, are a really big priority when your account progresses a little bit further. If I'm going in here and I'm buying these draconic insignias as a very new account, chances of getting one single hero that has any utility, pretty low overall. Trying to get a couple more copies of the Awakened heroes before we go and build these. Now, of course, the second priority after I bought these is going to be the draconic insignias, but I had a very, very short window, 3 days right here on the reset, and I knew I would not have enough for the draconic insignias. Looking at the 8,000 we have here, we would have been short, wouldn't been able to get these in time. So I did pick them out. Now we got the stones out of here. Labyrinth store we've been farming, Challenger store looking for really Alna is the only one really worth building out of here as it sits today. Making some more progression in there. Let me look at the friends list real quick. I think a lot of players, there we go. So a lot of players start out when we did start this new account, and you can see a lot of players just kind of go AFK. They don't stay around very long, especially if they're making a brand new account to kind of start on the same server that we are. So we'll drop out most of these, and we do manage this to about 2 days. 2 or 3 days, I'm okay with removing players at that point, especially if you're at that 7-day period. Go ahead and remove the players. 4 days, I'm going to leave them in there as it sits right now. Is there a pity system in the Ghoulish Gallery? All my runs have terrible RNG. So Time Twin, no, there is no pity. So when you think of the absolute and the really absolute pity timer in here, there is not one. There isn't a way, and again, this is something that we've talked about. We talked about it actually yesterday on Reddit. When it comes to the Ghoulish Gallery, there are some really solid fixes that they could do, and really, in my opinion, what they need to do to fix this train wreck of a collections is give you a collection. So looking at this, we have a level 10 Shadow Dancer. You can see we have one skill level on here, a couple other abilities. Is what they need to do, in my opinion, and I don't know if you guys are really on board with this, but my thought about this is giving us the ability to modify what we have here by recasting the abilities. Definitely well worth it, but giving you your resources. So right here, we have 80 of those, I believe, recasting elixirs is what they call it. And what I feel that they really need to do with this recasting elixir is every single time that you finish a Ghoulish Gallery run, they give you a certain amount of recasting elixir. And essentially, if you're doing, let's say, 6-7 runs every single week, maybe you earn 20 recasting, 25 recasting elixir, whatever the number may be. But the recasting elixir eventually over a multitude of weeks would give you more than enough to go in here and recast one of these abilities, which it costs 400. So even if they gave me 25 a run, if I could get, let's say, 150 a week, over the course of a multitude of weeks, I could actually build out a collection through running the Ghoulish Gallery. I think the incentive-wise in there would be an absolute game changer. Not only the RNG factor, and honestly, to get rid of some of the RNG factor within this game mode, all that they have to do is give you the ability to swap at the end of a run. That at least would put your collection kind of back on track with where you want it to be. Being able to essentially, like I said, swap at the very end of the run. So once it says the run is ended, it goes to the next screen, gives you the ability to swap. You can go in there and you can swap whatever you want to, whatever you need to build out the collection in the entirety. I would absolutely love it. What's going on? AFK Arena free to play. Fellow free to play. Yeah, I like the free to play. Now, we ran free-to-play accounts before, and overall, it is a very, very different feeling. And I know free-to-play, AFK Arena free-to-play life can absolutely attest to this. It is a very, very different feeling when you're running these accounts free-to-play. And for me, honestly, it's a lot less stressful. It's about really making the most, min-maxing everything that you kind of have, using your resources in the smartest manner that you can makes a big, big difference. Now in here, of course, we're going to pick up a couple more insignias. We're going to try to pick up a copy of Land. Hopefully we can do this because the rest of the heroes, honestly, we're not going to get them built up to any point to having them for probably even free to play. I mean, you're talking months, if not years. And I really feel like when we look at Skyland, when we look at Halia, those heroes are going to be so far out of the meta by the time we get to build anyone. And it might be the exact same with Land. So I might just save those as it sits right now. But I definitely want to do some summons in here. We want to use a couple of these Poke coins, try to build up a couple of these heroes. Who is better to prioritize, Nox, Damia, or Aurelia? Honestly, Aurelia is good, Saturn, but Aurelia needs a plus 40 signature item. That is one of the things. If you're building out Aurelia, she is a little bit of a higher build. And it's funny because when you think of companions, we had about 300 scrolls in companions. Then when you look at AFK Arena, we have 17 scrolls in here. So it's almost, and I really do hate to say this, it almost seems like a lot of parts of AFK Arena, they've just kind of left, or they've just kind of forgotten, or it doesn't seem like they're updating anything in here. Even looking at new events, looking at reworking events, looking at everything that we're kind of doing here within the classic version of AFK Arena, I feel like they just have a really, really big miss that we're not seeing new content. I don't understand. And unfortunately, if you guys are remembering, or if you look, if you're playing the Companions version, but even if you're playing AFK Journey. So AFK Journey, a lot of players are leaving AFK Journey, which again is kind of sad to see, but a lot of players are leaving AFK Journey for the exact same reason. It seems like, you know, with the changing of the seasons, everything else, that there's not a lot to do when it comes to the game itself. And a lot of players are not too happy with the content, not too happy with what they're seeing over there. So I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what's going on exactly in the gaming community. Here we do have 16 more days, so I'm going to do regular summons. Now remember, as a free-to-play account, we are trying to get 3 ascended heroes of every faction. That would give us the ability to make progression in the towers. Definitely want to look and try to, fingers crossed, get some more elite heroes, which there we go. We got 2 copies of Scarlet. Don't know if that's going to be enough to actually build up a little bit further. And then the second one, just some more rare, which that's okay. We can take some food. Temple of Time, we have 19 cards in here, trying to get Shamira in here. Even there, I can only make 1 really good collection. Yeah, and that's it. So Lith is saying, even there, I can only make 1 good collection once a month. For most players, that isn't even possible. If you're not putting money into AFK Arena, if you don't have the ability, or if you're not buying out the arcane staffs on a regular basis, the chances of you actually even getting those legendary totems are far and few in between. Furniture is hard to get on my account. I need to get Lucy, Athalia, but I have 5 for Athalia, no coins. Yeah, it just takes time. Guys, when you look at getting and really building out furniture, it takes an incredible, incredible amount of time. I want to use all these because I want to make sure that we do get some cards, get some resources. Like I said earlier, we need to get some more Mythic Plus. We need to get some more Ascended Heroes. We are really missing out on a lot of content. I feel like, again, if we had a little bit, look at that, guys. There is Shamira, streaming luck, just like that. I know we haven't put too many cards in here, but that does give us the second copy of Shamira. Because if you remember, the first one was actually the copy we legitimately got from an actual summon. So let's go ahead and pop these open, including, we have 1 red chest right there. Yeah, we have 5 more, which we're getting some of those amplifying emblems, trying to build these out kind of little by little. And we're just going down the line. Now, we also did get 2 cards in here, which again, I'm going to go for Graveborn in here, trying to get Ivan built up. Now, there is a copy of Shamira. We could absolutely use a couple more copies of Ivan. There's Treznar. And then down here, I think we do have a couple stones. Now, on repeat, like we've talked about before, there is a copy of Zika. So we do get a Hippo. Unfortunately, not going to see much utility or any utility at all out of that hero, but that is all of the stones. We have all of the chests that we got. And I think we still have like 2 more chapters before the tier 4 stones can come in. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, chapter 33. So we're going to have to push that a little bit further to make sure that we're building that out in the entirety. Yeah, furniture, like I was saying earlier, this takes a long time, just because for the simple fact that when you look at the wish list, this wish list is very, very, very in depth with the amount of furniture because you have 2 heroes. Now, my thought, even when it comes to poke coins, if they took the wish list down to 8 heroes or even did 6 heroes, either way, it would make it a lot easier to kind of streamline this process. And building 10 heroes with furniture when there's a lot of heroes that 100% need furniture, I would love to see it, again, kind of streamlined. I think a lot more of streamlined furniture would make a really big difference in here with the ability to just build them out faster. Quick question. Why pull 1 by 1, not 10? If I don't have the 10, that's the big thing. So if you're looking and if you're pulling in the 10, and I'll show you in just a minute, Akai, but if you do not have 10, pulling them 1 by 1 is your only option at that point. If you don't have the 10, that's the reason. So when you look in here, and I want to make sure when you're going through here, like I said, I had, let's say 19 scrolls in here. Never do this with diamonds. It's discounted if you do the 10. If you have single scrolls, you can't use the single scrolls to do the multiple pulls. The same with the Stargazer, where it said I had 7. We put in a little bit of diamonds to actually do the 10 pull. Then we had 19 in here, so the 19 single. That gives me 9 attempts to get loot out of here, which is exactly what we were looking for. Trying to pick up a lot more loot as we're going through here. And really, it is about the getting loot over and over and over again, kind of day after day after day. That progresses the account. It's kind of crazy. I just got lucky with me, Rendell, and Ivan are both ascended. Yeah, it's crazy. But everyone else on my team can't survive. Do you know who I should build to keep them alive? So Maximus, in that you really have 2 different ways to do it. So the way to keep them alive, one, when we run Ivan in here, I do run it with Shamira. That way we do have this SP effect in here. Some of the heroes like Aethys is a super, super solid tank, which will work incredibly well. But most of the heroes other than Randy and Ivan are going to die because you have really two abilities. Either one is going to be crowd control, or 2 is going to be the ability to essentially buff them up in some form and die out at that point. But for a majority of these, if you're running these 2 together, it's not going to work. They're going to die out very fast. I believe even here you'll see everyone's going to die out relatively fast. Even there. So Palmer already died in this one. We got the shield up on Randy. I don't even know if this one's going to be a defeat or a win. Got the crowd control from Aethys. And Aethys is a crazy strong tank, guys. But you can see Brutus with that immunity does take it down. I'm going to have to figure out what we're going to need to get through here. And I feel like we're almost at the point where it's going to be levels is what is going to make the big difference. Now we have, again, 180 here. I need 1 Elite Plus hero, essentially one more Mythic Plus hero to be able to build these up a little bit further to actually be able to make the progression that's in there. You're spending money, keep your monthly plan, basic and deluxe subscription. Yeah, they're huge, Tommy, if you're doing it in there. Also stuck on 31.8. Yeah, when you get to the double pulls, it's hard. Did they nerf the beckoning place on Temple Rift? I figured out for the first 200 floors, you could get 1 every 20 floors. Needed to happen. Yeah, the beckoning place, they did adjust. I know a lot of people are having issues going through there with that beckoning place. Let me see if we have anything here. So we have what? We need 1 copy of Scarlet, and that will take Scarlet up to Ascended. But looking at fodder, we don't have any fodder in there. Naruko, we have, again, 1, 2. We only have 2 right here. Again, we have 2 fodder right there. Need 2 more copies of Naruko. Here I would love to see if we don't. I only have 2 right there because here we split between Aethys and we split between Iran. And I feel like if we could get a little bit more food for Iran, we have a couple more copies. But if I could take him to Mythic Plus, that would make a very, very big difference. And then, of course, Ivan, we already have at Mythic Plus. 1, 2, 3. So we have food on here. The question is, who do we build? So who do we have copies of? So Ivan, we don't need. So in here, we have double copies of Grez, we have double copies of Silas, we have double copies of Oden, but nobody else to really build. Nobody else really at this point is going to fit the bill to have the ability to build them up a little bit further. That's going to be kind of hard. I have the Bat Vespero Beast on 10. Should I keep pushing? Vespero is bad. Skyper, Vespero, what's going on, Shooty? Vespero is bad. If you're looking, I wouldn't keep pushing that beast. I would probably prioritize to another one. I only have 2 on 18. If you're keeping 2 to 18, yeah, I would look at the panda, the seal, the owl, even looking at a couple other beasts that you could possibly do in here that have a little bit of utility. The spooky spectator does. So does the shroom spooter has a little bit. Chalice Mane has a little bit. A lot of these are not used anymore really at all. Unfortunately, it's to the point where they're just kind of backseated to everything else. Not seeing a ton of utility with all of those in there. About 3 months free to play. I've Awakened Chimera Ascended. I sometime I'm gonna save up. I want to pull for Awakened Athalia. I would wait for the new Awakened. Guys, if you're sitting on resources, if you're sitting on loot as it sits right now, wait to see where the new Awakened hero comes in. We know, again, the release for that hero is going to be in 2 more days. Absolutely save the current resources that you do have to see what comes out and what happens with the new hero. You know, the new Awakened hero might come out, just be absolutely and completely broken in the entirety. I would definitely wait. I have a swap scroll. I have swap. If I swap Lavatoon to Aurelia, not really. Now, I really wouldn't wait for it just because Lavatoon is still another hero, guys, that has a very, very, very high utility. When you start getting into a multitude of teams, Lavatoon will absolutely be used. I would not swap Lavatoon. I do not advise swapping Lavatoon just for the simple fact that Lavatoon, again, is going to be used in a lot of different places. So let me hop in the Voyage of Wonder, answer some questions in here. Misty Valley, of course, is up again. This is a part where you have to farm. And now, of course, we're 30 chapters through. So the loot that we unlocked in here is going to be significantly higher than what we've seen last time. And even looking here, yeah, we added 2 more slots in here, but I don't think, I'm going to have to garrison some heroes. I don't have either of my heroes garrison. So we were garrison right here, Sour Haze, and I believe, yeah, Mesmer's in here. So Mesmer, please let me borrow the hero, and then we'll go in here, and I do borrow this hero as well. Those are the 2. So I've noticed, and I've been kind of doing a comparison as a player that garrisons heroes. When we're looking at the Awakened version of Athalia, and when we're looking at Liberta, most combat modes that we've seen, Liberta is doing more damage than that Awakened version of Athalia. Looking at Riz, looking at Soren, it's interesting because right here, Liberta does a lot more damage in Riz, where the Awakened version of Athalia, because we can turn the boss around, does a lot more damage in Soren. I go back and forth between both of these, and thank you, Mesmer, for letting me borrow those. It does make a big difference. I go through and I do swap them back and forth just to be able to make a ton of progression in there. Now, very similar to what we do on the pay to win account with this game mode, I run through with that Awakened version of Athalia. She can solo all of this. Literally, if you put the Awakened version of Athalia in there, she will solo all of this in the entirety. I just drop whatever heroes that we do have to finish out the team, and there we go. I already have Randy at 4 stars. Big luck I had. That is awesome, Jesus. If you're sitting with Randy at 4 stars, that is crazy. Now, there are very few heroes, specifically looking at our damage dealing heroes, that are a big priority to build out in the entirety because they are the damage dealers. When you look at damage dealers within an AFK arena, they are super dependent on stats. So they have to be built out. You have to add a couple more stars on there. There's a lot more things that you have to do with the heroes themselves because they are very, very stat dependent to actually make a lot more progression, to go through a lot more content. Yes, stats you have to have. Should I build Palmer or Jerome? Out of those 2, Jerome. I would build Jerome out of there. Building Palmer, then Jerome. So Mesmer says Palmer, then Jerome. Both of them. Now it's very unique in what they both do, Maximus. where Palmer is crit damage and crit damage amplification. So critting more and doing more damage would win with 5 different factions. They're different in the methodology behind what they do. You're going to build both of them. Right here's Palmer. You're going to build both of them. You're going to build both of them eventually. Honestly, I personally, I like Jerome better than I like Palmer. And Jerome's a little bit newer, I believe a little bit higher on the utility list. But again, if you build either of them, Palmer or Jerome, you're going to need and you're going to use both of them in the entirety. You are going to have both of them in the entirety that you're going to be using. So here, I think it went to the Greyborn ones. I have 6 Chimera, 3-star Rendell, 4-star Ivan. Who should I Legacy of Grit? If you have Chimera in there, depending, what do you have in other factions, Austin? That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, what Liz said, they're both still meta. When you look at Jerome and Palmer, they are both still meta. Now in here, I don't have Respin and I don't have Lucy. I'm going to go ahead and skip that one, picking up my Celestials, my Hypos in here. Again, super limited to what we have. As you can see, I'm getting all of these level 1 guys. Mira's been, has Mira been popping up anywhere? No. So unfortunately, the places, now when we look at where Mira is being used, there are really 2 places that we're seeing Mira. One is the tower, the Greyborn Tower. Mira is doing super, super well within the Greyborn Tower. That, of course, is a place very easy to put her into. The only other place that we are seeing Mira at is campaign formations. That's it. And it's because she has the ability to do burst damage, but Mira also does a considerable amount of crowd control. That's really, I feel like, when you start looking at, and again, kind of bigger picture, the Curse Realm, the Nightmare Corridor, not going to see a lot of utility really with Mira at all because of the specific boss modes. You can't crowd control that. Not doing, again, that high of a scale damage. But the big thing with Mira, again, is the crowd control. So win without any warrior. So no warrior, no mage, which we know the warrior that we're sitting on here. So let's go to support. Let me wipe these out and we'll just throw some support heroes in here. I feel like we'll be able to get this one done pretty easy. But yeah, Mira, a lot of players have been saying campaign formation, she is doing incredibly well. Tower, of course, because of the power creep, doing incredibly well. Everywhere else, not really being used. Does the new Hypo worth to build? So far, these, yes. So looking at the test server, now, of course, you have to take it with a grain of salt because the test server is not 100% indicative to what we're going to see on the global servers, but just seeing where the hero is being utilized, the Awakened Hypo hero over on the test server, it seems like that the hero is going to be used in best in slot in quite a few different teams. Again, we're starting to see, even when we kind of tested the hero within the Curse Realm and the Nightmare Corridor, the hero is already being used, which coincides and says, probably within the Treasure Scramble, we're going to see the exact same thing. We're going to see the hero being used in those formations. It seems like it's a better, or really, honestly, probably a 2025 version of the Lucretia, is what most people have kind of set it to. Yeah, still early, but it seems, yeah, what Mesmer said, that might be absolute meta. And looking again, the way the damage is working, the scaling, even the ability, when you start thinking must be the same class, but when you start thinking of the ability to buff, the ability to debuff, the ability, to bring a lot of other things to teams, and I feel like that's another part where the hero is absolutely going to shine, is when you're bringing buffs to a team or you're bringing debuffs to a team, is another point where Envy is going to make a big difference because of what he's bringing, kind of that team dynamic and what we're seeing within there. So I think it said backline were mages, but we got to build this one out first. Then we'll throw some mages in that backline. So we're almost done through here. I hate when they make a hero so exclusively PvP. Yeah, so there's a lot. When we think just old school, like looking at Melkery, yes, just PvP. Looking at Tarnos was another hero, very, very, very just PvP. Yeah, I don't like it either. So that's one of my pet peeves when you look at exclusive PvP heroes, because I'm not huge. I'm I'm not huge when it comes to the PvP aspect, but absolutely when they make them just for PvP, or they make a hero that is just used in some of the content or used in a lot of content, but is very, very niche, I do not like it either. I don't like for them to build a hero that has almost no utility. So we have this stage and we have stage 8 done. Again, we don't have the hero. Stage 11 we're going to have to go ahead and wait for. Now, I've also noticed that, and a lot of players were kind of questioning when it comes to the play of Malice, there is no Voyage. So right here, we are pulling out 10 of our insignias in here, or 10 of our time emblems. In here, we're getting 12 of our time emblems. Then we're getting short for the insignias because there is no Voyage. I don't know what the reason, what the logic, why exactly. This is the first hero that we've seen, and I believe the first Awakened hero in general, that we have not seen a Voyage around. I don't know why we haven't seen it. I honestly, I cannot tell you why. Are you going to switch the pay-to-win account? Yeah, I can swap in a minute. We can swap over to the pay-to-win account and check it out. Like I said, in here, I got to do the Arcane Labyrinth, catch that up a little bit. And going through here, farming out all of these resources, guys. We have been farming. It's really the way. And again, insignias, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save some of those. I love this. And I think we need a chest. I think we need the chest piece. Let me make sure. I don't want to burn it. We might actually have the chest for him, which we do. 1, 2. You can see we're already using some tier 3 stones, have some tier 2. So the tier 1 we have right here. We do have the staff. I'm going to do boots for Ivan. Anytime that we get these chests, if we're lucky enough to pull them, I love doing these, and I'm going to use the boots for Ivan. We know boots and weapons, when it comes to a majority of the heroes within an AFK arena, are absolutely the place we want to build them. Then I'm going to throw, I believe, the boots on here. There we go. We got some boots. Now, 180. We can go up to 200 here, which, again, we need some more resources. We really, really do need some more resources. Yeah, must be 200. Like I said earlier, we need one more hero at the Mythic Plus so we can take that hero to 200, giving us the ability to actually level up Randy a little bit higher. We just need more summons. We do. We're really slacking on the summons. Hopefully the stones maybe give us something. 2 copies here, which it looks like Skarath, and I think that was Alero as the second one. I think maybe, yep. So it was Alero. Unfortunately, talk about some disappointment when it comes to a hero. Alero was 100% an absolute disappointment. It looks like we have, the tier 4 stone, which unfortunately we can't use. But overall, guys, again, catching this up, I know I do have to come in here, and I got a video ready. For you guys, I know that we're wondering Temporal Rift teams. I'm going to go through some Temporal Rift teams. In here, guys, you have to use what you have. Looking at what we currently have as we're sitting on the free-to-play account, Temporal Rift, we only have, and we just got to 2 teams. Again, using the heroes that we have are really our only option at all in here, because we don't have the ability to get more heroes. Going through here, making a big amount of progression does make a big difference, because farming stuff out of there brings you a crazy amount of resources. Will you make a vid of pulling the new Awaken? Absolutely, Thies. I absolutely will. Looking forward to the hero swap at the anniversary, but I have to miss the unlimited event. I'm hoping, Philip, that they do. If they do not do this hero swap, I'm going to be very, very disappointed if they don't. It's kind of crazy. Casual player for 5 years. How many time emblems would it take a Awakened hero to Mythic Plus on average? I'd probably say 250, 300. So if you remember, and again, just thinking about what it looked like before, to kind of answer your question, Fiero, is when you look at like the Awakened version of Brutus, and I believe even Chimera, they ran about 400 time emblems to get them ascended. And then, of course, when we look at ascended, then we got to the point of getting them and adding stars on them through the Stargazer. So it was about 400. But then we also look at Thane. Now, granted, when we pulled the copies of Thane, we did not have the 2.5%. It was still at the 2% when it comes to the summons. Thane took about 700 cards to pull. If you guys remember, way back when, Thane, I believe, to this day, is still the most expensive Awakened hero that I have ever pulled within AFK Arena was, again, it was like 700 cards, maybe even north of 700 cards to actually pull the copies of the hero. It was crazy, crazy, crazy high on there. How often do they release new beasts? So 2 new heroes. So beasts, yes, Time Twin. It doesn't come on a regular basis. So a lot of times they've been releasing beasts or getting new beasts right around kind of special events, holidays. Because even looking back at our portraits, this was for the Chinese New Year that they actually came out with this one. This one, I believe, was this Halloween? Let me know, Mesmer. Let me know, Lith. I believe this one was our Halloween beast. This one was kind of the earlier of 2024, if I remember, when they did the protection for this ibis, this bird, when they were doing the drive or the collecting the funds to actually get that. And I believe, yeah, I thought that, Mesmer. I thought that this was Halloween. So when you think of the Chinese New Year, which just passed, when you think of Halloween, which of course is going back to October, you're talking 2 beasts in about 6 months. Yeah, I thought so. I thought this was the Halloween one. And again, so you're talking, what, 3? And I don't, Aurelius, I think, was right around the New Year, if I remember. So even looking here, yeah, I mean, you might say every 3 months on a beast. I think probably about every 3 months on a beast is where we've been kind of seeing them. What's going on? You're Ken? Thanks for joining us for the stream. What I've noticed when I create my Smurf, the one should pay attention to the age of the treasure scramble region that they're placed in. Oh yeah, rather than a new treasure scramble region. The thing with treasure scramble is, and a lot of players say that, you know, I should score a lot better than right here, rank 79 that we're done. We're in a very old region. So when you look at the rankings, we're in region 21, which of course, going back, looking after 21, I mean, you're at 52 regions. So there's what, another 31 regions past ours. Yeah, we're in a higher region as far as Wales, far as long term players within the region. I usually rank 100 or less. Sometimes there's actually been a couple times that we've actually been right into about the 50s, which is really good. Most of this we just go through, we kind of buzz through. We can pop up in our chest, we can use our resources, even do some summons, because we know we have 900 time emblems, guys. We're going to get the extra 50 for the hero release, everything else. So we're going to be up to almost 1,000 time emblems by the time the new hero comes out. Now, we also have these. Out of the last 2 iterations of the treasure scramble, we have actually gotten 1 of the custom scrolls each time, giving us 2 more here. Or maybe that was Nightmare Corridor. Now that I'm thinking, this might have been from the Nightmare Corridor that we did get these custom scrolls, and we're saving. I'm not going to pull the furniture for Mira as it sits right now. So I did build out Mira. You can see we don't have any of the furniture for Mira as it sits right now. We don't have it. We're going to wait. Once the new Hippo drops, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Is there going to be a swap hero event soon? It should be next month. R2 love it. It should be next month. Usually and traditionally, they have released the swap scrolls on the anniversary, right around on the anniversary, which we know this is going to be the 6th anniversary of AFK Arena coming up this year. So again, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what they do, how they roll it out, what events are going to be in there. And honestly, in my opinion, if they have something as big as the anniversary event, again, that is coming up next month, if they do not make it big, if they do not add new content, if they do not do anything with it, it's going to be very, very tough for the community to swallow if they're not doing anything around, you know, kind of the biggest anniversary, the biggest time of the year for games is the anniversary events, what they put into it, you know, the rewards they give us, everything like that. That is a really big time in really any game is the anniversary events. If they don't do the anniversary event up very well, if they don't do it big, I'm going to be very disappointed by it. Now in here, regular scrolls, even looking here, if we don't get an awakened hero, it's not worth anything, which there is Theowen. Then we have another lot of scrolls, rare scrolls. We're just recycling at this point. We almost have everybody built out in the entirety, even looking at fodder heroes, even looking at food. We have 4 regular faction heroes that we do not have built, as you can see right here. They're all ascended. They already have a couple stars on there. all that we're looking for in here is our awakened heroes. Everything out at this point, again, is just kind of a moot point. Getting Celestials or Hypos, we even have a lot of those kind of maxed out, but if we get lucky and we pull an awakened hero, that is really all that we're looking for in here. And even looking at Diamonds, Stargazer Scrolls, there's a copy of Naruko. We're just sitting on resources. I mean, here we have 890 scrolls. We have 137,000 diamonds in there. And then here, 901. And again, I don't know, Mesmer. I don't know at any point if we're going to start adding a couple more stars. I feel like we need to. That we need to start adding a couple more stars on just some of those key meta heroes we see. I'm going to have to see. I think that Envy Like Awakened story is going to corrupt the future Awakened heroes by fail and all the Awakened shows by Celestial. Definitely could. That would be a really cool story if they were corrupting the Awakened ones. Call your Awakened heroes for the faction this year. If they stay true to it, just thinking kind of how they've been doing it, in here, guys, my love in what I would love to see, like what Tommy is saying, I would love to see the Awakened version of Rowan. The Awakened version of Rowan would be awesome. And again, thinking here, we have a damage dealer, we have a tank, we have a damage dealer. I want to see a light bearer support hero like Rowan. That does get the Awakened version. Now, in Maulers, we've got Brutus, we've got Antandra, we've got Sophia, even looking again, some of the older ones. If they did something, and I could see him doing something like a Titus, just kind of re-releasing Titus. I know a lot of players were also talking about Ty Lee. But again, if they rework this, I would love to see Nemitsu. Awaken Tassie, Awaken Walker. No Time to Win. I don't want to see the Awaken version of Walker. I would love to see Nemitsu. Nemitsu would be cool. In here, I think in here, honestly, that probably one or two of the most deserving. Number one, the Awakened version of Tassie. I would love to see Tassie, and my personal favorite is Garut. I would love to see the Awakened version of Omus. I feel like, though, looking at the heroes that they did the Awaken, you know, the Leica, the Iran, even looking at Solus, I feel like I don't think they would go that far back to look at like a Cirrus, to look at an Almas, to look at a Kaz. Tassie, I could possibly see. They might even do the Awakened version of Lorison. Lorison would be pretty easy. And in here, honestly, looking at the way that the game is going, I would love to see like Pharrell. I think an Awakened version of Pharrell would be awesome, or even looking at like a Nara. I know a lot of players have also said Isabella, that they would love to see the Awakened version of Isabella. Again, that would be a pretty cool design. It would be a pretty cool build that they could do around it. And then we know we already had the Celestial, we already had the Hypo. Don't know what they're going to do for Dimensional Heroes this year, but we have 4 more Awakened Heroes in 2025 that we're going to see. All 4 of those regular factions. It's going to be interesting. Yes, Lith hit it right on the head. Right here, let me read this for you. If they just made a few reasonable changes, people would fall in love with the game again. That is it. We do have, over on the AFK Arena Discord, I have put a lot of thoughts out there, and I have, I feel like I'm putting the ideas out there, but I don't know who's hearing them. I don't know if anyone is hearing them. I don't even know if they care to hear them, if they're saying anything. I'm not even getting any feedback from anyone anymore. They used to do it. But when it comes to overall just having the ability, and I think I already went through here. Yep, we did all of our refreshes. But when it comes to this game, when you think bigger picture, there are 2 major things like what Lith was kind of talking about. There's several things for a quality of life change, but there's 2 things really that I need, that I feel like need a really big revamp, which of course is the Dragon Isle. And honestly, I think even if they made the Dragon Forge Trials, if they made, stage 1 through 10 a little bit easier so players could get through there, added stages, let's say 11 through 20 up here, added more insignias right here within the Dragon Forge, meaning the players that are willing to put the time and the effort into going in here are going to have a much easier time of building all of our Draconic heroes, would make it a lot better. That would ease a lot of the suffering, lowering the cost. If they looked in here, if this was at like a 3,000 instead of a 5,000 for the actual summoning, and then they took this to 2.5%, again, little tweaks, little adjustments that they could do. Now, for me personally, the big other part, like we talked about earlier, the Ghoulish Gallery, they need to, and again, they need to either one, make the Ghoulish Gallery a lot easier to get, less RNG, a lot easier to get some of those legendary totems, reducing some of the RNG. And I feel like this would be the place where if they went in and if they actually just went in, and again, Lilith, if you're listening, the Field of Stars made this over here in Ancora, made this, you got arcane staffs. Let's say right here, you know, you got 2 staffs a day, 3 staffs a day, 5 staffs a day, 10 staffs a day, whatever it may be. If you got staffs from AFK Arena rewards, you would have the ability to actually go in here, farm up a lot more when it came to our legendary totems, meaning that if you're going in here, so think about this. So if you're going in here and you're not buying the staffs, and look at that, guys, pretty lucky on that one. But if you're not buying the staffs, you can have the ability to try to pull this once a week with a 10 summon. If you do not get a legendary totem, good luck, try next week. Next week comes, you do it again, you don't get a legendary totem, good luck, try again next week. That is really no other way to get the staffs if you're not buying them out of here every single day, which you'll notice right here, I have been buying them every single day, even on the refresh. But again, when you look at free-to-play players, when you look at players, you know, that save up for weeks, if not months, to use 3 legendary totems within the Ghoulish Gallery to get an absolute crap collection out of there that they're just going to recycle, or it doesn't fit with the hero, or the stats are off, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me logically to go in there and just pull garbage to be pulling garbage. I don't like it. Yeah, it really wouldn't take a lot of changes. Not at all, Tommy. It really, really would not take an incredible amount of changes to make this game and really adjust it. Just make it a little bit easier to get through some of the content, get through some of the stuff. Like I said, Temporal Rift, I haven't started the Rift on this account yet. I want to go through a bunch of different, I want to go through some teams tonight, some teams that were actually shared over on Discord. Go through, I've just been building this up a little bit, but we are still on floor number 1. Got to hop in here, got to be able to do this and go through. Also have to hop in, I believe these are the Misty Valley, but also the Bountiful Trials. Shadowfall, I still haven't done. We have a couple more hours on that, but it stays when it's done. Absolutely. They should give us the swap at the end of the run. Yes, Mesmer, that is something that I've preached since the beginning, is if I'm building out a collection, for instance, if we're building out, let's say, the Athelia collection, going through here and knowing that I want to build a specific collection and giving me the ability to actually have the ability to build out a collection. And also with that, Mesmer, is taking out the bullcrap stats out of some of these, where if I'm building a collection, let's say that is Shadow Dancer, and I'm going through here, I am building it, and it gives me MP, it gives me Magical Pierce. You're not going to put Magical Pierce on here. There's not magical heroes that are within the source collection, the Warriors. Not a really big reason to get that Magical Pierce. If they gave you more of a streamlined abilities for these and then gave you the swaps, it would make a big difference. Which Discord am I talking about? I'm in a lot of Discords, Lith. I believe it is the one from the test server. I'm going to have to look. We share a ton, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, I think 6 different guilds, 6 different Discord groups that I'm in. Not only the free ones like Majestic Floofs and a couple of the crowdsourcing, they are guild specific ones that we've been talking about. Does Awaken Belinda play today, or is it better to swap? So Vadlocks? Vadlocks, yes. The Awakened version of Belinda is still being used. Now, what you have to remember, and again, you have to think about this bigger picture. I don't really want to go through, I don't want to really pigeonhole it, because when you start looking at the best in slot teams, and look at that, guys, there is Mesmer. You know what, Mesmer? I'm going to copy this. I don't have most of these heroes, or I'm going to have to get some of these heroes. But what I'm saying is, when you start looking at the heroes that are being used in all of these different formations, they are the best in slot for players if you have everyone. That is going to have to take some time to sink in, because a lot of players do not get that at all. And even here, I can apply, there's Dark Blaine. I do have 1 copy of her. I don't think I have any copies of her. But like I was saying is, no, I don't have any copies of her. Is when you start looking at that, hello, my second stream. What's going on? MXK? What is going on? Thanks for joining us. I pulled out Gavis in the first 20 pulls. Is that viable? Gavis still works. Fundamentally, Windows, Gavis will still work. Doing incredibly well. What's going on, Thomas? Yeah, doing well. I'm very, very happy today. We had a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Next weekend is going to be crazy. And next weekend, unfortunately, I don't think a stream is going to be possible for next weekend. So all the players that join me on Sunday, we are actually going to be out of town for a tournament the entire weekend. So Friday, we're leaving. Saturday, we're going to be gone. Sunday, we're going to be gone. I'm going to try Sunday night to probably hop on and do some stream. But I am going to be gone in the entirety next weekend. Just to give you guys a heads up that I will not be in town. We're actually going to Ohio for a 2-day tournament. So unfortunately, yeah, not going to be able to do that. But like I was saying, when it comes to some of these heroes, the Awakened version of Belinda is still being used in a lot of formations if you do not have everyone built out in the entirety. That is the big thing where it makes a really, really big difference on what heroes you have built out, to what level you have the heroes built out. Because even looking in here, when you start going through some of these formations, you'll notice really quickly that when you go through even recommended formations or start getting, lower down here into different regions or lower formations, that a lot of the heroes that are really the viability of the heroes, or you'll see a lot of different heroes, like right here is the Vika formation in this this first formation. It makes a big difference who you have built out and to what level you do have them built out. Again, that is one of the very, very big things, is if you're not setting on all of the Draconic heroes, if you're not setting on all of the Awakened heroes, if they're not setting on 30, 40 signature items, you can use, and the viability of even looking here at like Vithiel, using Orthos, there's a lot of different formations that you can use with a lot of utility and a lot of viability in here without having all of those heroes built out. And honestly, I 6.2 is way, way, way higher than I normally score. I've been in the 120s, 130s lately. So I think I'm going to have to go through here. I'm going to have to copy out some of these formations, see exactly what we can do. And again, looking at Vika in here, if you don't have Vika, or essentially if you're a player that is a lot larger than having Vika, that is where having some of the newer heroes comes in, is because when you start looking at top tier, all of a sudden, a lot of places where Vika is being replaced and being added in with a lot of other, like right here, Halia, versus having Vika, it makes a big difference on where you do have them built out. So apparently the new Awakened Hippo is going to be a huge meta. It seems like it so far. It seems like when it comes to Envy that we are going to see a lot of utility with the hero, and that is out of the gate. Out of the gate, if we're seeing a lot of utility kind of day one, it means that once players start building the hero, once we see a lot more copies of the heroes, chances are the utility of that specific hero is going to go up even higher than we've seen them initially, as a lot of players get the test version, as a lot of players do get a lot of them built. They should revamp the Ghoulish Gallery, or when you get a bad collection, instead of getting 100 diamonds, you get Arcane back. That's what I think. And I think Shaggy Swagger, honestly, they should reward you in here very, very simply. So if I'm willing to put in the time, if I'm willing to put in the effort to do these runs, at the end of every single run, they should give you some of the swap, the arcane juice. They should give it to you right at the end. For every run you do, they should give you, and I don't even know, yeah, right there. They should give you the recasting elixir. That would be incredibly easy, where if you did a run, when you were completed with the run, regardless of the RNG, regardless of how crappy or great the collection is, they gave you, let's say, 25 recasting elixir that you do every single run. It would give you the ability, and again, thinking bigger picture, to at least have a chance through time, through dedication, through running different content, that 100% guaranteed that these collections are going to be built. That is the really big miss that I see, is there's no guarantee when you're going through and building these. You could run and do all 7 of your runs. You get all garbage collections. You recycle all the garbage collections. You don't get crap because you had to recycle everything because it was garbage. Not only giving us, or really taking away, the ability to have those legendary totems, but also giving us the ability to build out or utilize what we need within here. Again, would make a big part. Staffs, recasting elixir. Yep, that's it. A lot of the disassociation and hate with the Ghoulish Gallery would go away if players were building or had the ability to build those collections on a much more regular basis. That again is really the big part that I feel like is a miss with the Ghoulish Gallery. It's a cool system. I like how it rolls out. I like how, you know, how it works with everything we have. Some of these are just kind of garbage. I don't even know where this one was from. But all of these older ones that even, I think a lot of these don't even have stars. I'm going to have to go through and just kind of recycle these because I don't even know why it would put this one on. This, I think, was one of the freebies that we got way back in the day, or just something new. Putting staffs and elixir in AFK. Yeah, and exactly. That's what they need to do. If we got elixir in here, if we got staffs in here, all day people would love it. So how does the recasting elixir? So the recasting elixir, any collection that has 3 or more mythic abilities. So looking here, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we have 3 mythic abilities. 3 or more mythic abilities you can recast. So I can actually click on one of these, but you can see here it costs 500 to recast this into something like an erosion rate here, which this one I believe is for Aurelia. Looking at these, they are a lot lower to recast them, but you can go through and slowly, very slowly, you can recast these into other stats that you can build it out. So essentially you could take a collection that is, you know, right here that has 4 abilities. We could recast the abilities. I could take this to a red attack. Now it's got 5 mythic abilities. I could get recast elixir. I could recast this to attack. Now it's got 6 mythic abilities. I could physically, or I could essentially over time have the ability to build out the collections that I want with the stats, with the abilities that I want. Because in addition to that is you can also swap whatever you don't want. So in here, let's say instead of, you know, getting this physical pierce, which we have right here, I don't want physical pierce, I want attack. I could just put attack on there. I could put erosion on there. Or even if I didn't want attack and I wanted to put physical pierce, I could do the exact same. We could swap what we want or what we don't want to build the collections that we need for specific heroes, making it very easy. They also need to let recast add level. Yeah, that would be cool too. Even if you made a lot, even if you made more runs. So again, when you sacrifice one of your collections, I feel like it should give you recast elixir too. It would make a very big difference with the amount of players that don't hate the game mode. And then, of course, my very last plug before we're done, guys, guild bosses. This is something that Don talked about in 2024, redoing Riz, redoing Soren, redoing the guild bosses. Honestly, and if you're going in here and if you're building out these, this has been the same for 6 years. This has been the absolute same for 6 years. And if you're unfamiliar, on my other channel, we actually started playing Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends does guild bosses right. Even thinking if you're not playing Raid, if you've never played Raid, looking back at Idle Heroes, which again was probably 3, 4, 5 years ago when I played Idle Heroes, they did guild bosses right. It was the cumulative damage of an entire guild to take down bosses. They actually have bosses. So just to kind of give you a quick example of how they do them in Raid is we have a boss and it's guild bosses. You have one here, which is like easy, medium, hard, super hard, ultra hard, whatever it may be. And going through here, you kill the first boss, you start on the second one, kill the second one, you start on the third, fourth, fifth, sixth boss. And overall, you just systematically go through as you're killing the boss. Very similar to what we've seen again with Idle Heroes, is you had one boss, once the boss was defeated, it went to a higher level boss, so on and so forth. It gave you a reason to be in larger guilds, and it really built a community. That is the thing, again, going back years, going back to all of the methodology between AFK Arena, is it gave you the ability to work as a guild, very similar to what we see with like some of the bigger game modes, like looking at the Abyssal Expedition. It gave you the ability to push your account and push progression with other people towards a common goal. That again is something I feel like we're really missing here. Is plans right now, short of getting a chest every now and then in the Abyssal Expedition, they don't do anything. And looking in here again, coming in here, getting these chests on a regular basis, makes a big difference, being able to get some rewards. But as far as the clan, as far as the guild, as far as the methodology behind it, they're not bringing people together to play the game. That again, when I was in casuals, I mean, years ago at this point, we were together every single day. All of the events we went together, we planned things. There were so many things that were literally bringing the guild together to do. In this game, unfortunately, it's not there. We have not seen it. Who is the best variant to swap Yukon with? I have Lucy Liberta. Not sure who you mean, Vadlocks. Am I accepting an apprenticeship? I do have one. I have one right now. As long as an apprentice stays here, I will keep my apprentice forever. With Enchanted is online right now, as you can see. Any single time that we have the ability to go in here, you can see borrowing some heroes. I will stay with my apprentice until this is done. Even looking at mentoring rewards, we're at 11,000 here. This stops at 3,000. Again, there are so many game modes, and it just kind of drives me crazy, guys. And it might just be me that they could update the Solemn Vow. They had a really, really good idea with the Solemn Vow. Unfortunately, they've never touched it. Ever since release, it has literally been sitting here. There are so many different aspects where even if they made a tweak, thinking about the free-to-play account, when we're going through and looking at the world map, they are still giving us, when we go through, you know, the stages way down here, when we're looking at, you know, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, when we're going through all of this early game content, they are giving you all of the heroes as your freebies for completing this that they gave you 6 years ago. They have not updated the campaign progression. They have not updated the campaign rewards. And I believe the last time that we have seen an update for rewards, which is crazy, going through the campaign was when they did the engraving system. So you're talking 2 years ago, 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, when they released the engraving system. This was actually updated. They did add some of the draconic emblems. But again, thinking of a newer player to AFK Arena, they haven't really touched so much of it. They have left it completely untouched. Same with the towers, guys. You could do so much more with the towers. We could get a dimensional tower. There are a lot of things that I feel like they could really focus on to just bring and really breathe new life into the game itself. Yeah, there's a lot of things. And again, I hope they're listening. I hope they watch it. I hope they see, because they have a really, really big opportunity to make this game fun, to make it really engaging. And I want to make sure, guys, before we're done, that we do the gifting of the membership. Now, we do this every single time we do our stream. If I don't forget, gifting the membership goes up to NAV, N-A-V. Congratulations for the gifting of the membership, guys. But thank you for joining me with the flexibility of doing this a little bit later. Again, I know next week we are not going to be here. We are going to be in Ohio. So unfortunately, there's not going to be a stream. I'm going to try doing it on Sunday night. To make it easier for new players, older non-meta heroes should be easy and develop. Yeah. And again, eventually, with all the old heroes they give you, nobody uses. So if I'm going through, and honestly, when I'm getting copies of Chimera, I'm getting copies of Nemitsu, I'm getting copies of all of these old school heroes like Groot here and Cirrus and all of these heroes they're giving you copies of, and then you compare them to a wish list, you compare them to a meta list, you compare them to anything, they're falling in the C, D, E tier. You know you're not going to build them, you know you're not going to summon for them, you know you're never going to see them. It kind of sucks when it goes. And even, yeah, a lot less purple stones. Purple stones, again, this is something that they should streamline. Something like purple stones, they could easily make a wish list. They could make it where, hey, purple stones, thinking of these here, let's say you use the elite stones, you could set up, let's say 10 heroes in there. You could choose what 10 heroes you want. If you're lucky enough to pull one of those heroes, you know, you have a slim chance for your Celestials or Hippos. But overall, they could do something just to streamline it, because again, you get a lot of stuff that is just garbage that you don't need and that no one is going to need. Yeah, that's it. Stone wish list, card wish list. It would be super, super easy to streamline a lot of the game itself. But all right, guys, so that is going to do it for today's video. I'm going to hop out. I got to do some shopping, some couple other things to get ready for this week. It's going to be a very, very busy week, but I got some more content. I know I got to put out something for the Temple Rift. Absolutely going to do that. An Awakened priority list is coming as well. A couple more things, again, are coming down the pipeline, as well as If you want to join Raid on the secondary channel, guys, we're going through. I was streaming Raid last night. Super, super fun to get into and a good change. I mean, as much as I love AFK Arena and I'm not going anywhere, it is a good change to see a different game, how they do it, things they don't do well and things they do well. It's very cool. So again, guys, thank you for joining me for the Sunday stream and the flexibility in there. And as always, thank you guys for watching.